By the end of this video, you'll be able to efficiently manage context in large code bases with Claude, ensuring it stays focused on the task at hand. This is crucial for optimizing Claude's performance and your productivity. When working with huge code bases, it's easy to overwhelm Claude with too much information, leading to slower response times and decreased accuracy. You've likely experienced this before. You're trying to debug a specific issue, but Claude keeps getting sidetracked by irrelevant code snippets. To avoid this, you need to master context management. Context management is about selectively providing Claude with the most relevant information, so it can quickly understand the problem and provide a helpful response. This involves using tools like Claude.md to define the scope of your project and cleverly using prompts to guide Claude's attention. By doing so, you'll be able to tap into Claude's full potential and get more done in less time. You'll learn how to prioritize the most important parts of your code base and filter out the noise. Let's get started with the basics of context management, and by the end of this video, you'll be equipped with the skills to keep Claude focused and productive, even in the most complex code bases. Vocabulary, context, codebase, productivity, Claude.md, prompts. All right, by now you've got a good grasp on why context management is so important when working with Claude on a huge code base. In today's step, we'll set up your environment to make sure everything's in tip-top shape. First things first, open your terminal or command prompt. We want to ensure we have the latest version of the Claude API and Claude.md installed for your project. Start by navigating to your project directory. cd path / to / your / project. Next, update the Claude code dependencies. If you haven't already done so, install the necessary packages using pip. Pip install ClaudeCode. Then, get the latest version of Claude.md and Clade.md files from your project repository or wherever they're hosted. Make sure these files are in place. Claude.md is where you'll define your context, so it's crucial to have this file ready. If you don't already have a Claude.md file, create one. Touch Claude.md. Now that everything is set up, we need to configure Claude.md for your project. Open the file in your favorite text editor. This will serve as your context management hub. Make sure it's well organized and contains all the necessary information Claude needs to understand the scope of your project. For example, Markdown, short description of what this project is about. Feature 1, description. Feature 2, description. Feature N, description. List of dependencies and their versions. This setup will help Claude stay focused on the right context, ensuring it can provide you with relevant and useful information as you work on your codebase. By the end of this, you'll be able to define the context for your huge codebase using Claude.md, making it easier for Claude to focus on the parts that matter. You'll learn how to specify the relevant files, functions, and variables that Claude should pay attention to. This is crucial because when Claude has a clear understanding of the context, it can provide more accurate and relevant suggestions. To get started, you'll need to create a Claude.md file in the root directory of your project. This file will serve as a map for Claude, telling it where to look and what to focus on. Open your favorite text editor and create a new file named Claude.md. In this file, you'll define the context for your project using Markdown syntax. For example, you can specify the relevant files by listing them under a file's heading, like this: src/main.py, src/utils.py. You can also specify functions and variables that are important for your project. The more information you provide, the better Claude will understand your codebase. Now, go ahead and create your Claude.md file and start defining the context for your project. By the end of this, you'll be able to manage context effectively in your huge codebase using Claude. Now that you've defined context with Claude.md, it's time to implement strategies for managing it. You'll use subagents, hooks, and skills to guide Claude through your code, ensuring it stays focused and avoids unnecessary computations. First, you'll create a subagent specifically designed for your project. This will allow you to tailor Claude's behavior to your codebase unique needs. To do this, you'll use the Claude API to create a new subagent, specifying the context and capabilities you defined in your Claude.md file. Next, you'll set up hooks to trigger specific actions when certain conditions are met. For example, you might use a hook to switch to a different subagent when Claude encounters a particular section of code. This will help keep Claude on track and prevent it from getting bogged down in irrelevant details. Finally, you'll use skills to provide Claude with specialized knowledge and behaviors tailored to your project. This might include custom coding skills or domain-specific knowledge that will help Claude navigate your code base more efficiently. By combining these strategies, you'll be able to manage context effectively and keep Claude focused on the tasks that matter. So, try creating a subagent now, using the Claude API and your Claude.md file as a guide. By now, you've got Claude focused like a laser beam on your massive code base using context management strategies. Great job! Now, it's time to see how well those strategies are working and fine-tune them for even better performance. Open up your terminal or IDE, where you executed the commands from Scene 4. You should still have the latest context file open or be connected to the relevant MCP server. Run a quick test by asking Claude about something specific in your codebase. Claude code. Can you give me an overview of the file structure in our main project folder? Look at the response carefully. Does it feel more targeted and relevant than before? Did Claude provide exactly what you needed, without getting sidetracked into unrelated details? Also, check if any aspects of your context management are still causing issues. Maybe certain parts of your code base aren't being captured properly yet. For example, Claude code. Do we have any recent changes in the utils directory? If Claude doesn't respond with the information you need or is going off topic, don't worry. You're just about to make it better. Let's adjust your context file by adding a few more directories and files for better coverage. 1. Open your context file. Touch /code/context.json. 2. Add the missing paths or refine existing ones. For instance, if utils was missed, add it like this. JSON paths /path/ to /your/ project /path/ to /utils. 3. Save your changes and reconnect to the MCP server with MCP connect context /cloud_code/context.json. Now, rerun your test command again. Claude code. Can you give me an overview of the file structure in our main project folder? You should see a more precise and relevant response from Claude. If not, try tightening up the context even further by excluding less relevant paths or adding more granular filters. Remember, context management is iterative. Keep testing, tweaking, and refining until you get the perfect balance of information for Claude to work with. By now, you should have a much better understanding of how your codebase looks in Claude's eyes. All right, now that you've seen the power of proper context management in action, let's apply these tips to your own projects. The next step is simple. Open up your Claude.md file and define a specific task. First, make sure you have a Claude.md file set up for your project. If not, create one now by running bash touch Claude.md. Next, think about the current task you're working on. Maybe it's setting up a new feature or fixing a bug in the existing codebase. Once you have that task in mind, go ahead and open your Claude.md file. At the top of the file, define the context for this specific task. Markdown. Focus on feature implementation. Use version 3.2 of the API. Work with developer team A. Now, as you work through your task, keep Claude.md open and update it periodically to reflect the changes in context. For example, Markdown. Added initial code structure. Met with team to discuss further implementation details. Updated API version to 3.2 for compatibility issues. By doing this, you're helping Claude stay focused on your current task, which will make its responses more relevant and useful. To see the immediate impact of these changes, you can prompt Claude with a question related to your task. Plain text. Hey Claude, what's the best approach for implementing the API version 3.2 in this feature? Observe how Claude's responses change. Should be more precise and aligned with your current context.